Assalamu alaikum, brothers, sisters, friends, everybody watching. Welcome to this live stream, this live video. We're going to be discussing a very interesting topic today, and that is to do with being good, living a good life, and that in relationship with the belief in God. So the question we're asking today is, or we're discussing today, is can you be good without God? Very important question. And you know, one of the main things when you speak to people about God's existence is that, okay, you know, fine, you believe in God, you know, you carry on believing in God, but why do I need to believe in God to be good, right? And it's a very relevant question. It's a very genuine question that people ask sometimes. So what we're going to be doing in this live stream is we're going to be addressing this particular question, and I'm going to try to give you guys the answer the best I can, you know, give you some things to think about, give you some things to take away, and try to present a case for you guys today that shows that for you to truly be good and understand what good is, and then to benefit from that good, you have to know who God is, and you have to be connected to God, and you have to know what you were created to do on this earth and how it all ties in. And this is what we're going to be discussing today. But before I get into this, I'm going to give you a few minutes just so whoever may be watching or would like to join can join. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes so you guys can come online, can share this video. If someone is watching this post live stream, meaning it's been recorded and you guys are watching a recorded version of this, please do share this still. Please do share this with all of your friends, non-Muslim guests, non-Muslim family members, colleagues, whatever it may be. Share it with everyone, so that way you can take part in the da'wah and conveying this message to others, this beautiful message of Islam and how it makes sense of reality. And on top of this, you know, any non-Muslims that may be watching or that may join us, that they too can benefit from this. And especially those people that have been looking for, you know, the purpose in life, the meaning in life. There's many people that wake up to this reality. They get to a point in their life where they think, you know what, I need answers now. I need to know why I'm here. I need to know where I'm going. I need to know what this life is all about, you know, and I need to know if somebody made me and who made me, right? And why I was born and where I'm going to go when I die. So people wake up to these questions, and some people accept and understand that this is the reality of life, that there is more to life than just what we see around us, than just this physical world, these physical things, you know, than just waking up and doing your 9 to 5 and going to work and coming home and repeating the cycle over and over again. People start realizing there's more to life. So this live stream is for them too. So just to reiterate, the topic we're going to be discussing today is to do with goodness, right? And the question we're asking is, can you be good without God, right? And it's a very relevant question. Loads of people ask this question. Loads of people who don't believe in God say, well, I'm a good person, I live a good life, I do good things, why do I need God for goodness? And what we're going to be doing in this webinar is we're going to be seeing how to truly be good and understand what good is. You need to know God, and you need to have a relationship with Him. And then to truly benefit from the good things you do, you know, the truth of benefiting from the good deeds you do lies in the connection with belief in God itself. And we're going to cover these things as well today. So, without further ado, we'll officially begin, and we begin in the name of God by saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which means in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, the extremely merciful. Without further ado, let's begin. And the topic, like I said, we're discussing today is to do with goodness. What does being good mean, right? Now, if we look at the reality of being good from a human experiential perspective, the thing is that every single human being wants to be good. Any sane human being, any, you know, sincere human being understands that he by his very nature wants to be good. He wants to do good things. He wants to help others. He wants to take care of his neighbors, his family members, his parents. He wants to, you know, help the orphan, give charity, and do all of these nice things, right? And this is a part of our human nature, what in the Arabic we call the fitra. But the reality is, if we remove God from the picture for a little while, let's say put the discussion of God aside for a little while, and we ask the question, okay, if God does not exist, if you don't believe in God, if you turn away from God, if you reject God, whatever you do, can you truly make sense of what goodness is? What does it mean to be good? What is good, right? Now, the reason I ask this question is because, like I said before, many people who don't believe in God, who claim to themselves to be atheists, they claim themselves to be disbelievers, they say, I'm a good person, I do good things, but I don't need God for that. But when you assess that claim and you really start to dig a little deeper, what you realize is that without God, you can't really make sense of what good is, what goodness is, right? Because think about this. We as human beings, we always talk about good and evil, right and wrong. You know, we have these concepts. These, if you like, see them as concepts. We have concepts of what good is or what doing good means. And we have concepts of what bad is or evil is. But what are these concepts in a worldview without God? Because the reality is, if you deny God and you say, for example, adopt the position of atheism or naturalism, which is summarizing, which is the belief that there is no God, there is no supernatural, there is no creator. All that exists is just physical things. And everything that exists within this universe right now at this very moment is a result of blind, random, non-rational physical processes, right? It's just happened. It just happened over time. It was just one big accident which resulted in everything we see around us today. So yourself, your surroundings, your family members, the things you have, the trees, the sky, the clouds, the earth, the soil, everything in existence. According to atheists and naturalists, everything you see in existence is a result of blind, random, dead, non-rational physical processes. Just random atoms whizzing around over millions and millions of years, colliding into each other at random, and somehow over time they formed into this more complex gathering of these elements, these raw elements and matter, which has resulted in everything we see around us today. So in other words, in simple terms, what atheists believe foundationally is everything in existence is a result of an accident or an accidental process has thrown up everything we see in existence today around us. Now, if this is the case, if everything in the world around us and everything in existence is a result of these random physical processes, then how can you make sense? And I want you to really think about this now. How can you make sense of realities, concepts, metaphysical realities, non-physical things such as, or concepts such as good and evil and right and wrong? These are concepts. What are they? On atheism and naturalism, they shouldn't even exist. We as human beings, if we have just evolved through this random process, and from a foundational perspective, we're resolve these random physical processes, and then even if you want to, on a higher level, claim, oh, we have been thrown up by this evolutionary process, which is to do with survival and reproduction, and we're just here today to survive and reproduce, then even if that's the case, there is no need for us as human beings to understand, to comprehend, to claim concepts such as truth and falsehood, concepts such as right and wrong, good and evil. There's no need for it. We shouldn't even understand what these things are, let alone account for them. Where did they come from? What are they? What are they pegged in? We can't even start making sense of these realities. And if we dig a little deeper, I mean, take for example, if you were to speak to an atheist, or if you claim to be an atheist yourself, and you say, if I was to ask you, for example, is it wrong to kill an innocent child? I know it's an extreme example, but just for the sake of analogy, so we can really understand the point we're discussing. If I said to you, is it wrong to kill an innocent child? What would you say? Now, as a human being, if you are sane and you are sincere and you are rational, you would realize and you would straight away say that it's absolutely wrong to kill an innocent child. It's wrong. You'll feel it inside you, you'll feel it, you'll know it's wrong, and you'll express it with strong conviction. But this what you feel inside you by your very nature, and this your expression of yours, how do you make sense of it? How do you account for it on atheism or naturalism? How do you anchor it? What do you anchor it in? What is your moral anchor to say it's absolutely objectively wrong to kill an innocent child? If you make that claim, what do you base that claim in? What do you anchor that claim in? Because there has to be something beyond this random physical reality that you peg these claims in, right? Let me try to make it more real for you. For example, if you, for example, said that killing an innocent child was absolutely wrong, right? But say on the other side of the world, there's a tribe that lives in a rainforest, And they, every week they kill an innocent child. And it's a part of their culture. And they believe it's right. So now what you have is two people. Two people and one scenario. One person says it's wrong. Say you are the person that says it's wrong to kill an innocent child. And I would agree with you. Absolutely. But on another side of the world, there is a person who says, no, it's right to kill an innocent child. How would you condemn them? How would you stop them? What moral high ground do you have over this person? What will you say? Oh, it's wrong. And he will say, this person will say, it's right. And you will say, no, it's wrong. And he'll just say to you, well, why is it wrong? Oh, what are you going to say then? Oh, I feel like it's wrong. It feels wrong to me inside. You know, it doesn't feel right to me. And he'll just turn around and say, well, it feels right to me. It feels absolutely right to me to kill an innocent child. So do you see, although you may, from the depths of your heart, know deep down inside objectively it's wrong to kill an innocent child, but you, if you claim atheism or if you deny God and you believe in naturalism and atheism, there is no moral high ground you will have over this person. So in other words, if you claim to be an atheist or a naturalist, if you deny God, then you're left in a very subjective worldview. Everything is subjective. It's all your subjective opinion. It's what you feel compared to what someone else feels, right? Now, what else do you have if this is the case on atheism? You may say, well, if society gets together and decides it's wrong to do something, then it's wrong. But again, that's the social consensus of the society. That's the subjective consensus of the society, right? Now imagine, for example, in Nazi Germany, you know, they thought it was right, a group of people got together and thought it was right to kill a particular race. To demolish a particular race. Just because a group of people got together and decided it was the right thing to do, was it actually objectively right? The answer is no. It was wrong. So that shows us just because a group of people get together and say something is right, it doesn't make it right. Another way of looking at it is, say one group of people think it's okay to, for example, and again it's a crazy idea, but just for the sake of analogy, say one group of people get together and say it's okay to slap your neighbor every Thursday, and another group of people say no, it's wrong. All you have is just two groups with two different subjective opinions. So social pressure doesn't turn your moral beliefs objective in any way, shape or form. It's still your subjective opinion, it's just the subjective opinion of a society. Now someone may claim, well, our moral values have evolved through the process of evolution, just like our hands have, our teeth have, our arms and legs have. But again, if that's the case, then that doesn't make morality objective in any way. If anything, it renders morality subjective. It's subject to change over time, just like everything else about the species is changing. And then you run into other problems, because then from the perspective of naturalistic evolution or the naturalistic outlook on life and evolution as a model to look at this reality through, then you have the problem, well, you know, we're here what to do? To do what? To survive and reproduce. Then everything about our beings, including our moral drive and our moral values, should be directed towards survival and reproduction. Do you see the problem? So there's problems on top of problems on top of problems if you deny God. Without God's existence, you can't make sense of morality. You can't make sense, I beg your pardon, you can't make sense of moral truths. And this is the problem, because without God, all you have is just subjective opinions, ideas. And it's funny because, you know, there's many atheists out there today, many naturalists, aggressive new atheists who say, well, look at your religion, look at Islam, you believe in a backward religion, you believe in backward things, you know, your religion is wrong because of this, and Islam is wrong because of this, and it's bad because of this. And atheists and naturalists keep making these objective claims, right? They keep throwing them at you, You're wrong, this is bad, this is evil. But when on their worldview, on atheism and naturalism, you can't even begin to make sense of what right and wrong actually means. You can't validate it in any way. You can't anchor it in any way. There is no anchor. What are you going to anchor it in? Just random physical processes? So you can see how much of a contradiction it is when an atheist comes to a Muslim or someone that believes in God and says, this is wrong or this is bad. All someone has to say is turn around and say, well, on your worldview of atheism or naturalism, why is it wrong? Why is it bad? and they have no anchor. There is nothing they can ground their worldview in, their morality in. Now let's look at the opposite end of the scale. If you believe in God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, it's very simple. Because God is that transcendental anchor, meaning the creator of the heavens and the earth is beyond human subjectivity, our limited subjective opinions and perceptions. God is beyond that, and He is the ultimate creator. He is the one that knows everything. He is the creator of everything. And therefore we can peg moral values and duties or moral values and truths in God. That's how easy it is. God created us, and He created right and wrong, and therefore He gave us an understanding or perception of right and wrong. And therefore we can understand what right and wrong is to a very basic level, even if that's the case. And then through revelation from God, we get a more holistic understanding of do's and don'ts, what's good, what's bad. Right? That's how simple it is from the perspective of Islam and believing in the creator of the heavens and the earth. Right? And this swiftly moves on to the other point I wanted to share with you guys today, which was the idea of doing good. Because many people make a claim that I do good, I live a good life, so why do I need to become Muslim? Why do I need to accept God's existence? I'm a good person. But there's a few things to think about here. Even if, for the sake of discussion, we were to say, okay, somehow, without God's existence, you can make sense of right and wrong, good and bad, right? Which we've shown that you can't do that. But even for the sake of argument, if you said you could, what would it mean to do good without accepting God or believing in God? Nothing really, because think about this. If you're denying the one that gave you the ability to do good, that gave you the ability to understand what good and bad is, that gave you the rational faculties and the heart and the mind and the self to think about these things and to help people and to be selfless, the one that gave you all of these abilities, if you don't accept Him, if you don't acknowledge Him, if you don't thank Him, if you don't worship Him, in other words, then what good is you doing the good that you're doing? Right? Something to think about. It's like saying, your parents helped you, they fed you, they clothed you, they taught you good moral values and duties, they made you a good person, and you grew up to be a really good person. You went out in the world and you did a lot of charity work, you helped people, you took care of people. People saw you outside, people saw you as an amazing person. Someone that, someone that people looked up to and people admired and people wanted to be like. But those parents of yours that helped you and developed you in that way, when you went home, you treated your parents in the worst way possible. You swore at them, you spat at them, you made them do the worst things possible. You just treated them really badly. Would you truly be a good person? When the people that taught you to be good, you couldn't be good to, and you were going out there and trying to be good to everyone else. Now, no analogy applies to God, but when it comes to the existence of God, and when it comes to God, the analogy is multiplied, because the creator of the heavens and the earth not only teaches us and gives us the ability to learn, but He creates us, He sustains us, He gives us everything we have. Yet we can't be grateful to Him and thank Him for making us good people, making us people who could do good and help humanity and be a good person. Right? And this is why, if you look at the Quran, which is the final revelation of God, in the Quran, whenever God speaks about goodness, or most of the times whenever God speaks about goodness and doing good deeds and being a good person and living a good life, it's always accompanied with belief in Him, accepting Him, right? And one very powerful verse I want to share with you or chapter, some reflections on it I want to share with you is, I believe, the 103rd chapter in the Quran itself, where God says, and I'm going to give you the translation, where God says, by the passage of time, which is running out very quickly, human beings, mankind, you and me, we are in loss. As a human race, we are in loss, right? Except, and there's an exception here, except for those people that do 4 things. Okay, they do 4 things. And the first 2 things that are outlined or highlighted are things for that person himself, right? Number 1, believe, and number 2, do good deeds, right? Again, they're always together. It all begins with belief, because when you believe in the Creator, and belief in God is not something that you have to reason towards. The belief in God is a part of your very nature, your essence as a human being. Deep down inside, every single one of us knows that God exists. It's a reality. We know it. It's self-evident. What happens is, as we grow through life, and maybe we're committing sins and maybe we're involved in really bad things, that truth that lies within you becomes dormant, it becomes covered, right? And what we have to do as human beings is try our best to exercise to uncover that reality that's within us. So God says, believe in Him. If you want to be successful, truly successful in this life, it begins with belief in Him, accepting the truth that lies within you, right? And you can look outside, look at the entire universe, look at everything around you. It all points back towards the Creator, right? Any rational person will conclude that. And believe in Him and do good deeds. In another part of the Quran, God says, those people who believe and do good deeds, for them is all kinds of goodness. All kinds of goodness in this life and the next life, and they will have a beautiful return, meaning when they die, they will have a beautiful place in the hereafter. Again, belief and doing good deeds. They go hand in hand, because true belief in God, when you know who God is, and we're going to talk about this near the end, when you know who your Creator is, when you know who He is and you're connected to Him, there is no other option. You are going to inevitably want to do good, right? Because you will realize that the one that made you is good. The one that made you is the source of all goodness. The one that made you loves you. The one that made you put you on this earth to do good things, to help humanity, to help others, to help the world around you. As a vicegerent, somebody who, is here as a representative, if you like, almost. Just understanding these things about God will make you naturally want to do good. And then you'll also appreciate that you know what good and bad is. You have that base distinction between good and bad because the one that made you put that within you. Put that within your nature. This is why even atheists, those people that deny God, they cover the reality of God. They know God exists deep down inside. But those that cover that reality, even they know what good and bad is. Even they, when asked, as we were speaking about earlier, is it wrong to kill an innocent child? Even they will say, yes, it is. It's absolutely wrong, objectively wrong to kill an innocent child. Why? Because their nature, it's a part of their nature. Although they can't, their worldview of atheism can't make sense of that nature. They can't account for it. But they know deep down it's true. That's why they live a contradiction. If you deny God, and it's my firm belief, if you deny God, you will live a life of contradiction. Because on one hand, you will claim things that you can't make sense of without God. On the other hand, you will want to deny God. Right? You can't have your cake and eat it, as they say. You can't have your cake and eat it. So, from the Islamic perspective, the belief in the Creator of the heavens and the earth goes in line with doing good deeds. Right? So it's very important we understand this from the Islamic perspective. And for those people that say, why I'm a good person. Why is God going to punish me for denying His existence when I do good things? I'm always a good person. It's a very common question. Well, the reality is, think about the severity of the denial of God. Think about the severity of the crime of denying the Creator of the heavens and the earth. What that means. I mean, if we just briefly reflect upon it like we did before, you will see that if you're denying the one that gave you the ability to be good in the first place, what good is it then in exercising that good when you can't even be grateful to the one that gave you the ability to do good in the first place? It doesn't make sense. That's the greatest bad action. That's the greatest evil anyone could ever do, is to deny the Creator of the heavens and the earth, the one that gave you the ability to be good as a person. There's nothing worse than that. And in the Islamic tradition, we know, because the greatest sin is to commit shirk, which is to associate partners with the Creator of the heavens and the earth, to deny Him, to do kufr, to deny Him, to turn away from Him. So we need to really understand this, and I really encourage any non-Muslims that may be watching this right now, please, I really encourage you, pick up a copy of the Quran. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, there's a lot of nonsense out there, there's a lot of people who claim to be experts in Islam that are putting out false information, confusing people, just false information. I really encourage you to pick up a Quran, an English translation of the Quran, read it for yourself. Read it for yourself, see what it says. There's a good organization called IERA. If you go to iera.org, we have a very beautiful booklet. It's called No God, No Good. And if you just read the introduction of it, it will talk about these realities, and then the booklet has all of the 99 or many of the names of God that God has revealed to us, and you'll see who God is. And when you see who God is and you get to know who God is, you will then appreciate goodness in its true sense, and you will exercise being good as a human being in its true sense, right? So really do this, really pick it up. And just to conclude, some of you may have the question right now, well, You've been talking about God. Fine, you've made the link between God and doing good deeds. Fine, you've told us why, and we understand why, you can't really be good or make sense of goodness without God. But who is God, right? And I will briefly tell you this because, and I believe what I'm about to say is going to make sense to many non-Muslims that may be watching this who are sincere, because we are told from the Islamic tradition that the belief in God is already implanted within every single human being. So what I'm about to say may come very naturally to you. It may make sense. It may be very intuitive, and that's very natural. That's bound to happen to anyone sincere. The belief in God is very clear and simple from our perspective. God tells us He is one. He's uniquely one. His oneness you can't break into parts like the Christians say God is one, but He is three beings in one God. No. He is uniquely one, and you can't break this God into parts. This oneness, you can't amalgamate God with creation in any way, shape or form. God created everything that exists, but He is not a part of His creation. He is distinct and disjoint from His creation. On top of this, He is the one who has all power. He is the one that everything and everyone within existence depends upon and relies upon. And He is the one that is completely free of need. He has the ability to do everything, actualize everything. He can do everything. His power is not limited. There is nothing that is difficult for God. He knows everything. He hears everything. He is in control of everything. And this creator, this supreme being, the one that made everything that exists, He loves you and me more than our own mothers love us. And He wants best for us. He wants us to flourish and have good in this life, right? And pass every single test that comes in this life through connecting with Him and being close to Him. And in return, He wants to give us paradise, right? What more could we ask for as human beings? To know the one that made us, to have a relationship with the one that made us, to be close to the one that made us, to, worship Him. And worshipping Him is a part of the reason He made us, or the reason He made us, which is to worship Him. As He tells us in the Quran, that He created human beings and jinn kind, which is another form of creation, for no other reason except to worship Him, right? And a part of this worship is to get to know God and to do good actions, do good deeds, right? But that is in line with knowing Him and believing in Him and accepting Him. It's not a separate thing. Being good, as we've seen, being good or doing good without God doesn't really make sense. You can do it, it's a part of your nature, you will do it. But if you truly want to benefit from your goodness, as in the 103rd chapter, as I said earlier, every single human being is in loss without fail, except for those people who believe and do good deeds together, and those people who call others, enjoin others to truth, meaning tell people about this truth that we're discussing right now, right? Not only implement it within their own lives, but then to go out there and share it with humanity. Right? So those people who enjoin or call people to truth, and those people who enjoin or call people to being patient, right? And this patience from the Islamic perspective is a very deep concept. Maybe we can discuss it in another webinar, but patience doesn't just mean being patient in a situation. One aspect of it is indeed to be patient with trials and tests that come your way through worshipping God and staying connected with Him. But a part of this patience is also to do good deeds and to be consistent in doing your good deeds, right? To continuously strive to do good. And also a part of this patience is to continuously strive to stay away from sins and doing bad things and bad deeds in our lives, right? And this is the test. We are here in a test. This life is a test, right? And God wants to make it easy for you and me, right? He wants to give us paradise. He wants us to enter paradise. And for this He gives us revelation, and He has sent revelation over and over and over again throughout history. He sent messengers throughout history to different people and different nations, calling them back to the worship of God, right? But human beings, because of our nature, many of us, they took the message of God, they killed the messengers, they corrupted the message, and the God for one final time sent His final messenger, who was the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, over 1400 years ago, close to 1500 years now, to the Arabian Peninsula, and He gave him the final revelation, which is the revelation of the Quran, as guidance for human beings, as guidance for you and me till the Day of Judgment. There is no more revelation that's going to come. There are no more new prophets that are going to come. Yes, we believe Jesus, peace be upon Him, is going to return, but He is not going to bring anything new. He's going to come and He's going to follow the way that was brought by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? So He was the final messenger. He was the one that was given the final message. And the message is preserved for you and me to read, to study, to implement into our own lives, and to share with others. So I really encourage anyone sincere right now, who's been looking into Islam, who's been looking into spirituality, who's been looking at the purpose of life. Why am I here? Where am I going? What's my purpose? What's the meaning of life? To really look at the Quran and to pick up the Quran, to study the Quran, and to do themselves this favor and to see the truth for themselves, right? I mean, the Quran speaks for itself. So let the Quran speak for itself. Pick it up. Pick up a copy. I'm sure you can get a free copy online. Check out our websites, aira.org, edialogue.org. Phenomenal websites. A lot of good resources there. Anyone that is a new Muslim or wants to become a Muslim, there is New Muslim Academy that you can check out as well online, which is again a very phenomenal resource if you want to learn about the basics of Islam. And anyone right now that wants to, is at that point where they think, I'm ready to accept the truth. I want to become Muslim. I want to become a part of this family. I don't want to delay this anymore. It's very simple. All you do is with your heart, you acknowledge the reality that is that there is no deity or God or thing worthy of worship except Allah. Allah is the Arabic name of God. God tells us this is His name. So you bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except God alone, Allah alone. And you bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the final messenger of God and the slave of God in the line of all the messengers, and that Jesus was a messenger and slave of God, and Moses was a messenger and slave of God, and Noah was a messenger and slave of God. When you accept this reality with your heart, you become a Muslim. A Muslim is someone who submits himself to the will of God peacefully, and enters this reality, wakes up to the reality of life, and then, God willing, he will have the best in this life and the life to come. The Arabic, I can say it for you, so if you want to repeat the Arabic as well, which is the same thing we've said in English, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, which again means I bear witness that there is no deity, nothing worthy of worship except God alone, and I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his final messenger. Now, hopefully, brothers, sisters, friends, this has been beneficial. Guys, make sure you stay tuned for upcoming webinars and live streams. There's one, I'm sure if you scroll down this page, you'll see a really good webinar that went up yesterday by Salahuddin Patel. Make sure you watch that. And there's many other brothers that do some phenomenal webinars on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, click the live notification button so you're notified whenever we go live next. And if you have any questions, please leave them below this video, and I will try to address them the best I can. And stay tuned. May God bless you. May God guide you and us. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum, which means may the peace and blessings of God be upon you all.